Good afternoon, everyone. President, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to this Friday afternoon's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Welcome, welcome. We had a couple minutes late start. I had an important call that came through, which I had to answer. So apologies for starting a few seconds or a few minutes later than usual. Yes, share the live, share the live. Let them know. Yeah, a lot of people have not caught on to the Friday afternoon classes yet. So share the live and let them know that we are on. Speaking Out, Exposing Incompetence, Corruption Incompetence is on this Friday afternoon, Friday the 11th day of July 2025. Share the live, share the live. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we should never, ever take that for granted. So share, share, share. And again, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and to follow the page so that you can get notifications when anything is posted. Share, share, share. Give us a thumbs up as you come in, and we are going to be with you in a while. Now, let me say this. My colleague is in the studio. We have some technical issues. We're going to overcome all of these, Nothing will stop us from coming here and bringing you the credible, valuable information, especially in this silly season. And the silly season we're referring to is the season of electioneering. And I think it was 52 days or something like that until September the 1st, the date designated for regional and for elections in Guyana, right? And there's so much misinformation and disinformation and propaganda. We have to come and tell you the truth. Come to us when you want to hear the truth. We have so much to tell you this afternoon. So much so that we're going to have a truncated roll call. Then we're going to go straight into the announcements and we're going to get on with it. Of all the programs that we have had so far, I think this afternoon's program presented me with the greatest challenge, or presented us with the greatest challenge to sort out the things that we want to teach you, the information we want to bring you this afternoon. It was indeed a great challenge to come up with the information. Well, not come up with information. We have the information ready to decide what we are going to disseminate this afternoon. And so therefore it's going to be a very interesting session. Most sessions are, all sessions are. That's the feedback that we got, or we are getting. But this afternoon, likely to be extra. So share, share, share. And we're going to be with it in a short while. Again, as I've said, another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice. Let's be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. We are Friday afternoon, so many things. People go and take the little tubes. People look forward to Friday afternoon to have a relaxing weekend. I hope you are planning to have a very relaxing weekend. Whatever you do, enjoy with moderation. So here we go. The truncated is that so many people are here. Hundreds of students are here now. We're going to just run the early birds, so to speak. The school gates were open at 1 o'clock exactly. And immediately we had Ulrich in first. Well, as I've said before, several people would have come in at 1, but this is how they are listed. Ulrich, Barlett, take back this early position. Wayne from the UK, Tessa from Florida, Aubrey, Peter, Ricky Smith, Carl, Roxanne, Dexter, Sean from upstate, John, Clifton, Jacko. Jacko came at 101. But all of those people that I called there, Forgus, between 1 o'clock and 101, Kerry-Ann, Marva, Morton, The Angel, Aubrey, Puran from Essequibo Coast, Carol, Anthony, Petersall, Cecile, Gaston Taylor from Canada, Raul, all those forces came in very, very early. Congratulations to them. And when we went live, when the doors were open, we had, who was the first? Let me see who was the first person when the school doors were open. As I've said, we have hundreds. Abu from Essequibo was the first. And then Elise followed, Rhonda, Essequibo Coast, Joan, and then we had Simone, and the list goes on. Lynette from Barbados, a long list. But as I said, we have so much to tell you. My colleague is already in the studio, and therefore let me run the announcements, and then I'm going to bring him in, and we are going to rock and roll this Friday afternoon. We're going to rock and roll. Now, the announcements, we did announce the death of Jean Simpson, and I told you that she's going to be buried on Saturday. That's tomorrow. Jean is going to be buried tomorrow, Saturday. Arranged the funeral arrangement to be have here. Sandy's funeral home from 11 to 12 viewing, and then the service thereafter, and the burial will take place at Golden Grove Cemetery on the east coast of Demerara. This afternoon, we have the funeral, should be going on now, of body. Louis Golding, retired Deputy Superintendent. Louis Golding, 9681 was his number. His funeral is at number 4 Village, West Coast, Berbice, this afternoon. And then in terms of update, we told you to, well, we have some time with Clement Jerome Bailey. We're going to tell you about that more on Monday. And, you know, I was saddened yesterday when I learned of the death of a former member, Leroy Charles. Leroy Charles, 10918 Leroy Charles. Used to be in the back in the day, police finance office. Then, you know, he was police finance office in them days was part and parcel of TSU. Because as soon as them chaps get a little spirit time, they used to come at the bar of the TSU, will sit down, play billiards, those who were inclined to play billiards, and we would sit there and communicate, and we would talk and all that type of stuff. So Leroy was a regular there. You understand that Leroy passed yesterday morning. I was coming from an engagement when I got a call. I missed the call, and when I returned the call, only to be told that Leroy passed early in the yesterday morning. I know he had some health challenges, but the last time I saw him, he looked like he had, or he was overcoming those challenges. I remember when Leroy left the force, he went to the audit department, very qualified, highly qualified, he's a Pleasance man, left audit department, then he left audit department, and he spent some time at the Ministry of Health, and then he left there and he migrated to the United States, where he was part of the Ex-Police Association of the U.S. He was a former president, and he was a live wire in that organization. Every Friday night, like tonight, for example, back in you go there, they have oldies and police and other people come there. Leroy was always there Friday nights. We would sit, every time I went there, we would sit down and we would gaff and so on. He was a live wire in that organization, and I know they will miss him terribly. He was a member of course, what was his course number 106, and he joined, I got the information, they joined on the 10th of June, 1980, with the squad 106, started from 10916 Adams and ended at 10950 Tyndall. Mr. Diplat ended. So, yeah, that thing. And one of the squad members reminded me that I was their instructor. I was their drill instructor back in the day, and he did compliment me. He said, I trained them well. I trained them well. So Leroy has passed. And then I learned yesterday, too, of the passing of a former member, retired Chief Inspector Milton Griffith. We used to call him Bluff Griffith. His regulation number was, I think, is 5564. He was a squad mate of people like Barker, the former commissioner, the late commissioner, and Mr. Arl Martin. They were all squad mates. So Griffith, Bluff Griffith, we knew him as very jovial chap, very jovial chap. Used to be at Brickdam. I remember as a young police, we used to see up and around. You know, I used to be in charge of training, so I had interactions with all of those older people. So Bluff passed yesterday, and Bluff got to be well advanced in age and so on. So condolences to the relatives, friends, colleagues of those who have passed. I will keep you, as we would normally do, I'll keep you up to date with funeral arrangements for Charlie and all those others as the information becomes available, right? So, yeah, yes, Desiree, Leroy, well, he had some health issues that he wasn't hiding, we knew of, but as I've said, when I last saw him at the same Ex-Police Association building there in Brooklyn, I was pleasantly surprised with the interaction. He looked fairly well, given the circumstances. But when the time comes for you to go, as I've said, you have to go. What you have to do is prepare. You have to prepare for that inevitable day, and not prepare like how these jaguars preparing by thieving left, right, and center. You have to live good with people. When people come or people make comments, it must be from the bottom of the heart that you are a good person. You can use examples to show that you are a good person. You are not selfish. You are not a person who victimizes people and all of that. So yeah, we are going to deal with that. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to deal with a few more issues. Let me hope I choose a... CC, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. I want to shout out to a couple of people here. Mark Gilbert, last weekend was his anniversary, wedding anniversary. I think toward the 9 years. I want to shout out to himself and his wife Francie. Also, a taxi driver, red tattoo outside of Demico house. He's saying that I don't shout out to him. And Marceline shouted out to me, and it's time she's really enjoying our stay in Guyana. And this afternoon I went to a funeral for the late Royson Adams. And on my way home, a woman came out to me and she pointed to me saying, "Yes, Sissy, it's only beautiful women that shout you out or does recognize you." And you know something? She was a very beautiful woman. So let me stop there.
Yeah, stop there before you get yourself in trouble. I forgot in the announcements, I forgot to mention the birthdays. I'm so anxious to move along. And I want to extend birthday greetings today to Assistant Commissioner Raphael Rose, the man in charge of Region 9. I think today is his 55th birthday. But things has worked now. By now, Raphael should have been on pre-retirement leave. But I don't know how stuff goes now in the police force. Because you have a commissioner who long past his retirement and he's there. As a matter of fact, he was appointed after the time. But I'm aware that today is Raphael Rose's 55th birthday. As I've said, therefore, according to the public service regulations, the last day on this month should be his last working day. But they got things for extension and they got things, the guys out of magic goes on now. Then we have today birthday to a retired woman superintendent, Lorraine Ann Saul. She's a regular in the program. She has siblings too who are regulars on this program. So I want to extend birthday greetings to Lorraine. I know in the last days, she retired now. They do all sort of things to that that woman, all sort of things, all sort of false charges. She's one of them where they institute a lot of false charges. And at the time, you had this weak person sitting in the chair of Commissioner Nigel Happy, weak, allowed all of those things to go through. Those unlawful charge, people getting victimized. And he sat there, did not do anything. Sat on his hands, did not do anything. Weakness is weakness. Because he used to be at the police finance office. As a matter of fact, he was police finance officer. And he knew the system. And he knew, therefore, that these people did not do anything wrong. But he sat back there, and because the politicians, he wanted to be commissioner of police. But Karma is a bitch. He never got the job. They had him there. He did not even make him acting. They had him sitting down there for a long time. And as soon as the time come for him to go and leave, they said, "Go your way, go on." And then they made Ikin acting immediately. They made Ikin acting. And they had Happy there for a long period, from 2020, end of July 2020, until when Ikin get acting sometime in 2022, and that. Well, weakness, buddy. You got to stand up for what is right, especially when you are in a position with people under you. You have to stand up for your people. and they're going to respect you for that. Nobody asks you to do or want you to do anything unlawful or illegal, but stand up and represent your people. That is one of the tenets of good management, good leadership. You have to represent your people. And also today is the birth anniversary of woman. I'm not sure what is her rank now, but she was familiar to all. I'm talking Abiola Rosamond Adams. We used to call she Abby. She should be mess. She should be at the commissioner's office there. Abby is observing a natal day today as well. Also observing birth day or natal day, birth anniversary, what we want to call it today, is retired Colonel Desmond Roberts from the Ghana Defense Force. Colonel Roberts, that's the man who raised the golden arrowhead for the first time when Guyana attained independence in 1966. He had the honor of doing that. Today he's celebrating, and today he's 80 years old today. Very decent man. He's once National Service Director General of the National Service. Very qualified, educated man. He is observing a natal day today as well. On the last occasion, we were here on Wednesday, I told you students, which was Sparrows, the mighty Sparrows, singer Francisco. It was his birth anniversary. And I told you all what was my favorite. When I went back and I looked into the chats and so on, everybody said, a lot of people said their favorite is Saltfish. Some said Gene and Dinah. I saw a tape last night, a little clip last night, and somebody asked Sparrow some time ago what was his favorite. He said his favorite was Gene and Dinah. But he sang them, over 500 he made, over 70 albums. But tell you all, my favorite Sparrow was Since He There, Let He Stay. And I like the chorus. And it didn't mean to be so slick, but as you move so quick, it slipped. And I'm feeling so nice and warm. Any port is for a storm. And then the last one said, I know, wait, let me read it last one. Is any port is for a storm? It's up to you to tell me now. I know I'm wrong and I ain't making wrong. Then she turn around and she say, since you don't put it there, let it stay. I hope y'all listen. Francis was to listen to the song. I hope y'all listen. And you're going to know why there's my favorite song. I love the wittiness, man. I love the wittiness. Since you don't put it there, let it stay. That is my favorite for Sparrow. Some people saying Congo man and all them everything. No. Since you don't put it there, let it stay. That is my favorite. And then we have advanced birthday greetings to a few people. Kidaki Amsterdam. Tomorrow is Kidaki's birth anniversary. The man from Buxtonian Morning Time now is Guyana Morning Time. Kidaki is observing a birth anniversary today. Tomorrow too, Roland Aline, retired Senior Superintendent Roland Aline, is observing a natal day. We used to call it Too Cute. The man always well-dressed, man, always well-dressed. Always well-dressed. The hair ain't getting gray. Always Too Cute is celebrating a birthday tomorrow. And also celebrating a birthday tomorrow is retired Assistant Commissioner of Police Stanley Fraser. Stanley, man, these people were admitting giants, at General Office and so on. Stanley is observing a birth anniversary tomorrow as well. So for all those who are observing today, all who observed recently, and who are observing in the near future, happy birthday to you folks. Happy birth anniversary. Right? And again, I challenge y'all, listen to Sparrow. Since you don't put it there, let it stay. Yeah. He was never traffic chief. He was a traffic, I think Aline was ever traffic chief. But he spent a lot of time in traffic, and then he moved around in the last days of his service and so on. So yeah, birth anniversary to all those people. Again, a challenging y'all, listen to Sparrow and come back over the weekend and tell me on Monday what you think about the song. Listen to the lyrics. Listen to the lyrics. Let me bring in CC. Board, I forgot, I missed out on the birth anniversary, so I had to mention that.
Yeah, happy birth anniversary to all those persons you mentioned, especially Lauren Small. I remember that they persecuted her. It was PPPC. It was police, politics, persecution, and corruption. But God is in charge, and I recall our case finished at no case submission. And in terms of sparrow, I also like the lizard, The lizard run up your leg and disappear.
And everybody keeps searching everywhere. Where the lizard? The teacher Mildred. Under she dress, taking a rest. The way she jolly and happy. I sure the lizard must be tickling she. Yeah, I got to understand these things. It's not Skello with all these vulgar lyrics and all this type of thing. Real masterful calypso. I know we have a Cecil Semplers here. He's a calypso officiando. So, right. So I'm sure you can appreciate the little chat about Sparrow. Now, let me move on. To remind you in terms of election, we tell you how this is election here. Monday is what they call nomination day, when all the contesting parties, I think 22 of them, are supposed to hand in the list of candidates. Now, let me tell you how this thing going. GCOM, the Guyana Election Commission, is supposed to conduct this this election. A lot of people have said they don't have faith in GCOM conducting a free, fair, and credible elections. They have shown some partisanship over the years, right? One of the most egregious acts of GCOM, as far as I'm concerned, had to do with that journalist, where Asha Kisoon went into parliament on a journalist. She was then deputy speaker. And when the term, according to the arrangement with those joiner parties, came for her to leave, she decided she ain't leaving. So it's not only the Ikena squat, she decided she's squatting in parliament. I know what the egregious part is. GCOM admitted that she was there illegally. And they said they can't move her. They can't move her. So the other party, the other person who was to serve out the part, we can't remember Schumann served as parliament first, then she and somebody other party was to go. She ain't moving, and GCOM was powerless, a claim to do anything. And here they say now, nomination day is Monday. So PNC had their campaign launch on Sunday at the Square of the Revolution. And according to what I'm reading, from there, from the campaign launch, they went, because the nomination day is supposed to be taking place at Umanayana, or as the old man, they say, Umama Mama, at Kingston. So the PNC and the coalition people moved from there, from the Square of the Revolution, and they went and they set up. They wanted to be first in line. They wanted to be first in line for nomination day. This afternoon, I understand that GCOM decided that they are going to determine which party presents the list first. That is what I am reading, that GCOM is saying that they are going to determine which party will present the list first. You see these people looking for us at a conflict and confusion. If a party decides, based on precedence, I guess, that they are going to go in line first, 1 week before they are going to go in line and be there, you're changing the rule along the way. You're changing the goalpost to say, well, you're going to determine, so somebody can come down the line and decide that day, and you could make a determination now that day. So maybe they're going to do it by alphabetical order. I don't know. This is a joke. Maybe when I said this, not what I just said. What I'm about to say now is a joke. Alphabetical order. The joke goes that some people were on a airplane, and the airplane got into distress because apparently they discovered that too many people were on board. And there was this African woman and her daughter sitting together. An announcement came over telling them what the problem was, and that they will have to ask 2 persons to come to, they got to dump 2 persons. Remember, it's a joke, 2 top persons. So they said they're going to do it in alphabetical order. So they said, all Africans stand up. The African lady and she daughter sat down. They didn't get up. Then they go, there's A, all blacks. They got to B now. Stand up. The lady ain't getting up. All colored, get up. The lady still ain't getting up. So she daughter turned to she was say, Mommy, aren't we all of those things? Aren't we Africans? Aren't we black? And are we colored? Then he said, my daughter, today we are Negroes. They got to come till down to end. We ain't going nowhere. So maybe it's something like that GCOM is going to perform. Alphabetical order, and if you call alphabetical order, A, P, and U supposed to be there as force as well, alphabetically. But sometimes they're going to decide that some other party going to come. They're going to decide that other than the A, P, and U, they might decide, well, it's just the U. And then with the P, 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 C, they're going to decide, well, C. So let me see how it's going to go. But I'm saying these things are unnecessary interventions. If people are there 1 week in advance, what is the problem with having them line up? They're there force. They're early because they want to go in force. For whatever symbolic reason or other reason, they want to go there first. But you're going to make a decision now that you're going to determine. I'm sure if they had communicated that well in advance, nobody would have got there and spent all them night and so on to get a first position. They're not going to do that. So they are creating problems. They are creating problems. So I thought I'll mention that nomination day on Monday. I'm not sure what time it is. Now, the next thing, before I bring in Mr. Conway, I remember I told you all that we had this story. Let me bring in CC, and while I try to find the next thing that I'm trying to tell you about. CC, GCOM nomination day, man. What are your comments?
Well, yes, sir. It is silly season. Therefore, all kind of things will happen. Will happen. So I won't be surprised that they come with some strange rule. You know, if the APNU was there first and they want to be first and they come out first, allow them. What was the big difference? What is the nonsense about? You know.
I was looking for something I wanted to read to you all, but some other time. But let me tell you what I'm talking about, you know. Remember the last program? We told you about the Kokuani police station that they were. I showed you the stuff, and let me see if I could find it to show you it again. We showed you this, and we said to you that somebody wrote to say that when they visited this place in February, everything was okay, and then now they are breaking down this station because they discovered they're breaking the wrong place, something to that effect. I got to learn afterwards that sometime last month, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Ministry of Home Affairs has issued a statement claiming that the information that is circulating on social media is false. And they claim that after the building was constructed, some part they discovered sinking, and they decided they're going to correct the sinking part. Now people made a comment. How you can, what type of engineering was done for you to repair a building, and after the building is repaired, then you discover a part sinking, and then you got to break down that part and so on. Well, I got updated it for you. This is the status of the Kokuani police station as of this morning. This is the status. So you see the thing here broke down early, as you had said. You see, this is the status of the Kokuani police station as of this morning. Machinery, they have machinery there this morning working to do whatever they got to do. So the statement by the ministry, I guess they're going to come out now and say Slow and Conway lie again. Well, every year we're going to think this is the status of the Kokuani police station today, Friday, the 11th day of July, 2025. That was about this morning, about 10 o'clock or sometime then. Sometime then. You know, we tell you we don't come and just talk on this program, you know. We do research and make sure we get information. And I have made the point, and people have said that if it is that you build a building, repair or construct a new building, whatever you did, but you are admitting that some part of this building now is sinking or is sunk, and then therefore you have got to do some remedial work and so on. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. What type of engineering? But we know now they don't believe in feasibility study and any test, and it's just money, going waste money. That is what is going on. And I know, CC, you get your contacts in Kokuani. I'm sure they're going to update you on this going on. I'm sure you're going to be updated.
Paul, your picture isn't lying, And they're not doing remedial work, They're demolishing the building. Look at it. Look at the picture. So true. That is it. They didn't do no proper check to see, and most of the building is sinking. Man, give me a break.
Yeah. We got to bring this thing to attention. We can't just come and tell you wholesale the lies. And so therefore we have an obligation to bring it to your attention. But coming back, we talk about debts. Debt stalks the land. Debt stalks the land, Guyana. Every time we come on this program, we're not rejoicing over that. We are here on Wednesday. We told you about debts. Now today again, we got to come to tell you about more debts on the road. Between Wednesday and now, I think there are 2 fatal accidents. One was reported where a 16-year-old, West Coast Morbies, a 16-year-old was struck and killed. Let me get it. 16-year-old died after being struck. Some hit-and-run accident. She died. And this afternoon, it has been reported, right, that the man, let me read what I said. Paul Mahabal, Mahabal, 32 years, appeared before magistrate at the Weldad Magistrate Court, where he was charged with failing to stop after an accident and failing to render assistance to an accident victim. He pleaded not guilty to both charges and was remanded. He was remanded. His attorney, who represented the accused, argued that they were minor offenses and hence the court should consider bail. However, the police prosecutor told the court that there was another charge in relation to the death of someone. He said that the charge was not instituted because the autopsy was not done. The autopsy was done a short while ago before he went to court. And the prosecutor said the accused failed to stop after the accident and subsequently drove past 2 police stations before being apprehended at a police roadblock. The prosecutor said Mahabal is considered a flight risk and asked the court not to grant bail, promising that on the next hearing of the matter, the police will be instituting a causing death by dangerous driving charge. The case was transferred to Fort Wellington Magistrate Court and comes up again on July 16. This girl, Kimberly Natasha Jones, 16, a student of Fort Wellington Secondary School and of Lot 63, Bel Air, West Coast, Demerara, was killed on Tuesday evening in the hit-and-run accident along the number 22 public road. Right? She recently completed her secondary Caribbean secondary education certificate examination and was returning home from Zignal when the incident occurred about 21 hours. So this man got charged, and they charged him for the failing to stop, failing to render assistance. I want to know why they didn't charge you at the same time for causing death by dangerous driving too. Why? But I know they're going to say that they were awaiting the result of the postmortem examination. But let me tell you all this, commanders. I know the commanders that they don't have this experience. They don't have the experience, so that's the problem. You do not necessarily have to wait on a postmortem examination to institute a charge of causing death by dangerous driving. When I was traffic chief, and playing straightforward, institute the charge, because when they're going to charge him alone for failing to stop, failing to render assistance, then the next he get put on bail. And if he had been put on bail, you can't blame the magistrate. As his attorney tried to point out, it's 2 minor offenses. Luckily, the magistrate decided to remand him. Correctly so. Remand him because this is an accident where he also failed to stop. So right away, you can establish that he's a flight risk. He had to be arrested he passed 2 police stations, so he can't say that he intended to go and report to the police station. He passed 2 police stations, and then he was apprehended at the roadblock. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you, the commander, instituting a charge of causing death by dangerous driving. And then, if the PM done, or when the PM done they say, well, the death wasn't as a result of the accident, then you can always discontinue the charge. But it is dangerous to charge a man based on that alone, and then the next day you put him on bail and he disappeared. Once you're only at the roadblock, I would have expected that at the earliest possible opportunity, he would have been put before the court because he has displayed flight tendencies, right? But they sit down and instead of waiting. And before I bring in CC, let me say this. They haven't said anything about breathalyzer test. I noted that. Whether he was breathalyzed and whether he was found to be either over or under the legal limit. I say that to say, because if it is that he was breathalyzed and he was over the legal limit, what happened to the charge of motor manslaughter that the Attorney General and them boast about? What happened to that charge? As far as I know, since they boast about bringing in motor manslaughter to reduce carnage on the road and that sort of thing, the man who struck and killed the policewoman in front of the BV police station over a year ago, he was charged with motor manslaughter. That's the only case I know of. And then it was reported that at one of the hearings, the matter fell back to causing death by dangerous driving. So I'm not aware of any prosecution for motor manslaughter. And the law is that if you cause an accident, you involve your driver involved in an accident, and at the time of the accident, you are under the influence of alcohol, right, above the legal limit, which you're going to say to such an extent as to be incapable of properly controlling the vehicle, is motor manslaughter. But you hear nothing. I say all of these things to emphasize is a lot of bluff, a lot of talk that has come with, a lot of talk. But commanders, again, you don't have to necessarily wait for postmortem examination to charge someone for causing death by danger. A clear-cut case. What do you think? I can tell you what the PM will say. The PM going to tell you is trauma due to accident. That's what the PM can tell you. A 16-year-old in particular. If it's an elderly person, you might want to hesitate because you might hear heart attack, you might hear something else. But a 16-year-old is struck and killed. The driver failed to stop. He from Montrose, he's hit down and West Coast Barbies. He had to be apprehended. And you sit back there, you're going to charge him for failing to stop and failing to render assistance alone? What happened to the vehicle? Have you examined the vehicle? Were all the papers and all the documents intact? They're issuing these statements and they're telling you they're hiding stuff. They're hiding stuff, and therefore we're going to come here and we're going to expose the wickedness. Right? CC, the man got charged with them 2 offenses. What are your views, my brother?
As long as the case is clear-cut, you can charge and later on send the file on to the DPP. You don't have to get a DPP fiat before you charge. No way. And then we hear nothing whether he was breathalyzed. And we know whether he was a licensed driver or not. And this is a good opportunity. We hear about the corruption in giving driver's license. This is a good opportunity to find out how he obtained his driver license, if he had one. But we get a lot of weak commanders in everything DPP and DPP. It's clear cut. You charge and then send a file later on. As simple as that.
Yeah, you know, again, let me say this silly season, you got weak police and weak commanders, is all sort of thing happening. The ranks are so demoralized. They are so demoralized. Do you know? I told you nomination day is Monday, right? It's expected that the police are going to go into certain posture. The PPP have their election campaign launch Sunday afternoon. And this is not a plug I'm giving them. I'm just passing some information to you people to show how these people wicked, right? Campaign launch at Kitty Market Square Sunday afternoon. You know, it's all them police. They're canceling all the off duty and all this. All them got to report for duty. All the police around the place, Brickdam, Alberton, all of those places, they have to report. I mean, this is unconscionable. Yes, you have to get ranks to work, but what happened? You don't get consideration for these people who work all week, some of them, and then you're calling unnecessarily so. But that's what you have. You have a commissioner who ain't got a clue what's going on. He doesn't have a clue. And the officers that you have who should be leading, they are not leading. They are just bullying people. But you know, back in the day, we had a man named Dr. Wharton, the chain smoker. And we used to play cricket, right? We gone in the wicket to bat. We used to play cricket, we gone in the wicket to bat. It is unconscionable. Yes, people have to work. Why ask all the people? Select people who got to work. And then you have a rotational system, so the same body or the same set of people are not working every day or every time they get meeting. Because in this season, you're going to have lots and lots of meetings, simultaneous meetings. We spoke about it. And you can't stress out your ranks. You got to know how to rotate them so they get enough time to rest and recuperate and all of that. That is what that's how it should be done. I commanded divisions, D division, A division, Borbies during national and regional elections. And I made the point on this program before, you have to look into the welfare of the people. Because if you started now when the campaign launched, to stress them out, by the time you get to election day, they burn out. They are burnt out by the time you get to that time. But as I said, it's the type of people you get, is a leadership problem. We told you about a fatal accident, another fatal accident they had on the East Bank at Bricker. It's a man somewhere in the East Bank with a truck and they say a Jeep. Well, I have a problem with them on Jeep, you know, because the Guyana Revenue Authority do not understand that Jeep is a brand name. So every 4x4 vehicle or SUV, sports utility vehicle, check on your registration. They will call them Jeep. I never own a Jeep with the brand Jeep. But on the registration of my 4x4, they get Jeep. So in this accident, they're reporting here between a man from Brickery, 77 years old, Larry, and they say a Jeep. When you look at the vehicles, there's no Jeep. It's a 4x4, but it's not no Jeep. Jeep is a brand. But everything for them once is 4x4, they call them Jeep. They call them Jeep. Right? Let me go to the next subject, and then I'm going to bring in CC. I read, again, I like read, you know. They had this story yesterday morning, I think it was, where they're reporting this man by the name of Joshua Taylor. He went berserk, shooting up rungs. They say the man from Turkine, something happened, that maybe he tripped. They say he got hold of his father's firearm or some relative firearm, and he's shooting up rung in the air, getting people, terrorizing people. The man shooting and terrorizing people. The police were summoned, and you get 1 million story as to what actually happened. Right? Initial reports suggest that once the police arrived, this man opened fire on the police, and the police returned fire. They claim that he was after that he was subdued, and he was taken to the hospital. They reported that they didn't see any mark of violence, but he died when he reached the hospital. He died. That was the initial report. Then another report said that when they examined the body, sometime yesterday, they saw one bullet wound. That is what they reported. Initially, they said they shoot back at the man. You know, that's what the report claimed. The man fired them, they fire back. Let me pause to say this. Given the explanation as to what happened there, this man gone berserk. He tripped, whether it was drugs, whatever. He shooting, he terrorizing people. The police arrived, and he fired at the police. The original report suggests the police fired back at him. But they said that when they eventually subdued him, he not know. So the dancing and the ducking. But let me say this. Given what was reported first, let me repeat it. This man get a gun, shooting up, terrorizing people. I saw a statement from his aunt. All them terrorize this man, shooting. The aunt said that when they summoned the police, and when the police arrived, he started to fire the police. The police had to take cover. She said behind the wheel and all them type of thing. And she claimed that they returned fire. But the police said they weren't firing. But But what is wrong if you've got a fire? How you go into a scene where a man shooting rungs, terrorizing people, and then he shoot at the police, and you want to suggest that you did not return fire? You would have been justified in returning fire. And if during that process he died, you would have been justified. But the dancing and the dancing and the dancing, they said they end fire. And then later on they say no marks. Then later on they say what appears to be a bullet. When the detective examined the body, what appeared to be a bullet. But the postmortem examination was done this morning, and hear what it says. And this is what the police releasing now. The police saying a postmortem examination was performed earlier today, Friday, on the body of Joshua Eric Taylor, a 24-year-old businessman of Lot 50 Turkine, Greater Georgetown, by pathologist Niall Singh at the Georgetown Hospital mortuary. Joshua's body was identified by his mother and his brother. The postmortem examination was witnessed by a detective woman sergeant and a senior superintendent of police. The cause of death was given as blunt trauma to the head. Dr. Singh opined that it could have been caused either by a fall or a hit. He said the brain was swollen, which could also be caused by the use of drugs. A sample was taken for the body for a toxicology test to be done. There was no gunshot wound on the body, nor signs of strangulation. The body was handed over to the relatives for burial. And then it is significant to note that there was no gunshot injury to the body, as was erroneously reported by a few news outlets. That's the police release. Meanwhile, based on information provided by the main civilian witnesses in the matter, the deceased man was attempted to climb an iron gate, which is about 7 feet high, and his pants foot got hooked on the fence, causing him to fall off the gate and into the yard of his aunt. He reportedly landed on his head, but got back up, and a red substance suspected to be blood was seen on his forehead. Finally, the investigation is in progress. The media will be further updated. Again, I make the point that the police corporate propaganda unit has no credibility. So when they come out with these stories, people have to take it with a grain of salt, a bag of salt, maybe it might be so, but a lot of confusion surrounding the thing. Is the police is there that a policeman said that was what reported in the media? I know if they came from the police, but that they saw someone gunshot. But before I bring in Mr. Conway, if as they said, this man was firing indiscriminately and terrorizing people, and when the police arrived, the man fired the police would have been justified in returning fire, lethal force, and if he got shot and killed, that was it. Because the first rule of engagement say that you may fire when you are attacked and you apprehend serious danger to your person and you are unable to defend yourself by any other means, you can shoot. Somebody come and the dancing. See that, what are your views on this thing when it comes to tell me, man?
From the initial report, I felt that something was wrong. Because they said the police, he shoot at the police returned. And they didn't know if he was a hit. And he was handcuffed and taken to the hospital where he died. If you said that he was attacking, he was shooting at the police, as you said, Paul, the police got a right to return fire. And the rule number one, let me repeat it. When you attack and you are praying serious danger to your person and unable to defend yourself by any other means. And if what Dr. Nielsen is saying there, something is wrong, blunt trauma, no gunshot wound, no anything, something is wrong. And then the police is not credible. You can't accept the story. When you read it, you got to take it with a black tank assault. That's why you got to take it with. That the police not credible.
Now, I don't know what you're using these black tanks. You know, the black tanks have to use, according to the man supposed to shit buckets. And we know that some of them shit in black tanks. So watch how you're using. Don't misuse the black tanks, you know, my brother. Now, let me move on. Let me move on to the next subject. I read a few days ago that there was a report of a man found dead someplace. Police haven't reported yet. Man found dead. Suspected gunshot wound. Right? So today, Garden Mosley News Source, the Brackle, the crime chief. Because you know, today they had award ceremony. They had award ceremony, Garden Brackle, the crime chief. And they reported here, the crime chief tight-lipped about probe into kidnapping and murder of Timeri youth. The crime chief tight-lipped. Remember, let me tell you, these are the people say that they are transparent. They're using this word transparent and they do not know the meaning of the word transparent. So this incident occurred over 2 weeks ago. And up to now, can't do the thing. They haven't issued a release. But here it goes on. Crime Chief Wellnell Bladam today said he did not want to say much on the investigations into the kidnapping and murder of 22-year-old Timeri resident Ezekiel Smith because he did not want to compromise the investigations. Although Smith's body was found more than 2 weeks ago after he was reported missing, the Guyana Police Force never released any information about the murder or the investigations. Smith, who was an airport ramp attendant, died from a gunshot wound to his head. His body also bore other marks. Family members said that days before his body was found dumped on Princess Street in Georgetown, they received a call from an unknown person demanding $9 million for his safe return. The family never raised the money. Questioned about the probe this morning, Mr. Blanham would only say it is ongoing and he would not want to compromise it. Quote, at this time, I do not want to divulge certain information pertaining to the probe. I do not wish to compromise the investigation. As the investigation progresses, we will provide further updates to the media. End of quote, said the crime chief said. Pressed on whether the probe is also examining a possible link to an attempt to get drugs out of Guyana through the airport, the crime chief would only say that the investigations are ongoing. 2 weeks before the body was found, the 22-year-old man left his job at the airport. Police sources have said that they were following reports that he might have been contacted to get a package of drugs onto a flight. But having failed to do so, he never returned the illegal item to its owners. Family members have said they are unaware of the reason behind the man's murder, but they are calling for a full and thorough probe. Now, something like this happened. Why they don't want to issue a release? There is issue release on every and anything. Every and anything. Why they don't want to issue a release about this matter? Man got killed. Murder. That is not suicide. Murder. Signs of torture. Right? And based on what they say, it is alleged that the man might have been given a package of drugs to put on a plane. Partly the drugs wasn't put on the plane, and he had returned it to who he gave it. So you get right away, you get motive there. You get motive there right away. But the crime chief is tight-lipped, according to news source. CC, let me bring you in for you to have a say on this. What are your views, man? Remember, they are supposed to be transparent. Your views?
Well, over the years, the crime chief has been very, very tight-lipped. And now the Brackliny and he talking about, but Bessie don't talk because he ain't saying anything. A matter like that, how could you compromise the investigation? As if they're doing any investigation at all, or if they're protecting people. You know, come forward and let us know. Open up and let us know. They're talking about transparency and accountability and all this kind of thing. And here's the country. He ain't saying anything. He elect the minister of Home Affairs in another matter where they said they kidnap somebody, get the police and send it to you know. And if the crime chief is not aware, it is incompetence. Because when crime committed, he gotta be aware. His divisional officer don't report to him. Yeah, don't report him. You know, it's amazing. Let the public know what's going on. You don't have to give them all the final details, but at least you must say something. I'm not impressed with this champion. I've never been impressed with him. I've never been impressed with him.
Yeah, folks, share. We coming to the sweet things now. We coming to them now. One of the things I said earlier that today this statement or the non-statement from the crime chief was at the sidelines of the annual awards ceremony. This is started by Larry Lewis. So we understand this. Larry Lewis has a lot of stuff to be praised for. And when the records or when history is written, you're going to see Larry Lewis was very innovative. He brought in a lot of stuff. Yeah, the bad ways. This award ceremony at anniversary, at Christmas time, Larry Lewis. Larry Lewis started it, and it has continued, right? I remember back in the day, it's a big meeting you would get, to determine these things with the finance, and you make recommendations for people to get awards and all this everything. I remember because in senior management position, when they come, you ask the divisional commanders and the branch commanders to submit the people who they recommend for awards, people who have done outstanding work and so on. I used to tell them, I don't want your nominal role because some of them are so weak, they're going to send everybody they're sending. Everybody they're sending. I used to tell them, no. We want you. That list you send is not an awards list. It's your nominal role. I want your nominal role. Tell me the people who did good work and tell me what they did. Because they're sending nominal role, people now work, people lazy, people reporting 630, but they just don't want to come across as being unfair, I must say. So they send everybody. And I used to warn the people with the cutlass, with the knife, and not to be vindictive, but you have to explain. If you're going to recommend someone for an award, let me know what good work the person did. Many people would have done good work. But the thing got to the stage now where even some of the people who in the force, and I say this without any fear of contradiction, who are alleged to be involved in criminal activities, are awarded and rewarded with promotion and cash awards and other awards when they have ceremonies like this. There's one particular case, and you don't hear anything about it, where they went to a particular lady house and find how much $1 million with them pension book and all them everything. The man who led one of the officers involved in that is alleged to have taken money, and then he doubled back for more money. And the lady involved, or stepmother, we have a recording of the stepmother. When he go back, call and he negotiate. And the man was awarded, and the man was promoted. Right? So it's not a big thing now to get an award or to be promoted. But I saw some people, they was asked me some hard questions, CC. They sent me this picture and want to ask, they're asking me, what was the role of this person? The person on the right. The person on the right is the former chairman of the Police Service Commission. Patrick Finlay, not Finlay, I think he named. But he was at the award ceremony today, and he was presenting. So the person asking me, they were asking me, I guess because I was a former chairman, they asked me what was the role of the former chairman. So I said, well, they got to find out what he was introduced as. What was he introduced as? Right? What was he introduced as? That is what I want to know. Because this is supposed to be a bishop. I can't figure out yet whether he's a chessboard bishop or a religious bishop. I know the person on the left, Pastor Patrick Dulichan, is a religious man. He's the man who prayed for the police against Nakaf. That's the man. But now that Farley or Finley is no longer the chairman of the Police Service Commission, I want to know, I'm asking on behalf of the citizens of Ghana, whether he still has access to police vehicle, whether they're still picking you up, you still get driver carrying you around in a police vehicle. They should say that. They should address that. Because the life of the police service commission ended some time ago. The life ended. So there's no police service commission now. So Patrick Finlay is an ordinary civilian. Perhaps they refer to him as the immediate past chairman of the police service commission. Because before him, I held that position as the immediate past chairman of the police service commission. What is his position? CC, do you know? The man making presentation, do you know in what capacity?
Baffling. Because we know that the life of the service commission finished last month. Or finished in the end of May. The torture of May somewhere around there. So I know we're only playing in there. And then I see the police who pray for them. Dolly Chan. I want to know why he giving Dolly Chan, or what Dolly Chan giving him. I don't understand that. And when you watch the previous picture, you see apparently the squatter ain't paying no attention to what's going on there. Yeah, this one he ain't paying no attention. Apparently, like he watching Blanham, and Blanham watching his side end. So I don't know what Finley doing there. I ain't doing. And I mean, if you invite him as a past chairman, but he can't officiating and presenting things them. No way. It's wrong, but it is interesting to know what role he was there. And as you, Paul, said, how was he introduced?
Very interesting, man. We got to keep monitoring, because it has asked me some difficult questions. I know what role Finley played there. But let me move to the side. I tell you, I share the life. We're coming now to Larima. We're coming now to Kavan Larima. The man who, the PPP activist, the PPP supporter from Linden, who was sentenced to 9-month imprisonment for fraud. The story is that he took money from people to prepare to give them outslap, defrauded people. Reports were made to the police. He was charged. And on the 19th of last month, he was sentenced to 9 months imprisonment on the fraud charge. The magistrate signed the commitment warrant for him to go to Lusignan prison. Now let me explain, because he was in hiding, or people say he wasn't hiding. It's just that the police wasn't making any effort to execute the commitment warrant. They knew where he was, and they weren't going to get him, right? Because I guess he's above the law. He's a PPP supporter. He's a PPP activist. He's above the law. So Monday gone, he was arrested by the police in Linden. Remember Monday was CARICOM Day? So he was arrested. And the report is that the very next morning, he was then taken from Linden to go to Lusignan prison to commence serving his time. That is the report. The report said that on his way to the prison, the policemen received a call from a big one, and they were told to abort. Don't carry to the prison any longer. Take him back to Linden, which the police did. Well, I said, well, that police is jokey police, because I could tell you, some of me phone in walking, some I didn't hear in the call, right? Phone in walking, I didn't hear in the call. He would have been gone to the prison. And he went back there to Linden, where I understand he remained until yesterday or sometime. He said a couple of days he ain't feeling good. They carried him to hospital. I understand he was taken to the Mackenzie Hospital there, and doctors were on hand to receive him and to transfer him to Georgetown. Preferential treatment. I saw a report this morning. He gets some heart problem, gone back to Georgetown Hospital. But I'm saying this to the extended squatter Commissioner Ikin, to the Commander Linden, Assistant Commissioner Simon, who apparently didn't understand what's going on. You had the Linden incidents with the shooting of those two guys recently. Now you get this Larry case. Why you are taking on them, Gordy? You have a commitment warrant. Now let me explain again to our students. Once a commitment warrant is issued, all the police have to do is to take the person to the prison, whichever prison the commitment warrant say he must go. In this case, it's a Lieutenant prison. The fact that you have kept him at Linden there, you have no legal authority to do so. If anything were to happen to him, you're all in big trouble. And they're going to show you all under the bus as how they show the policeman who shot Orin Boston under the bus. We're going to talk about that just now. You have absolutely no legal authority to keep him, Larimer, at Linden. Because the warrant issued by the magistrate, a commitment warrant issued by the magistrate on the 19th of June, committed him to the Lusignan prison. So your role is that once he is arrested, is to take him straight to the Lusignan prison. So all this thing with he's sick and all them, there's a Lusignan prison headache now you on. As of the 19th of June, there's a Lusignan prison where you're taking all them Godi and you're jumping around because you're taking illegal instructions from politicians. There's not a police stuff now. It is not. Because let me walk you through further. Had he been in court at the time when the warrant was issued, magistrate signed. The magistrate said 9 months in prison. Right? They were all keeping some old in area. The commitment warrant is signed. Once you get the commitment warrant, it's from the court straight to the prison. From the court straight to the prison. And then what in this case now, all right, he was sentenced in ex parte behind his back. So the police role is limited now to arresting him, as they did on Monday. And once he's arrested, straight to Lusignan prison. You have no legal authority to keep Kevin Larmer in any police station. As a matter of fact, I even if he said he's sick, Georgetown prison, Lusignan prison should get involved because the warrant gives them the authority. They have infirmary there, they have arrangement there. But you're keeping here at the station because some politician or the squatter and them people call and tell you, you're going to get thrown under the bus again because y'all are not doing the lawful and correct thing. You're not doing the lawful and correct thing. Right? So that we understand it. Again, I say, from the time, and I got to ask the question, because it is clear to me that the police are in contempt of the warrant, which is an order from the court. For you to defy the order of the court and decide to keep him at the police station, that is contempt. I hope that somebody initiates some type of proceedings against the ranks involved. There is the commander and the commissioner. The court issued an order. The court issues an order. All you got to do is carry the order. And it is a sign of weakness and incompetence for anybody to entertain any direction or request from anyone to say, don't take him there. Straight to the prison. That is what the order says. That is what the order says. Straight to the prison. And if they want, let them fight there. Because there now, all sorts of shenanigans, all sorts of shenanigans. As my crystal ball showed, they can also do everything to keep you out. He can't live sick for himself. He said, yeah, it's not good. The old people that I grew up in say you don't call sick for yourself. You can't sick for himself. He say he's sick and all that type of thing. But even though he claims to be sick, Georgetown, Lusignan prison is the people who got to deal with that, not the police. Not the police, because you have an order from the court. And I say the fact, let me be fair. Sometimes a commitment warrant is issued, and because of let me say it issued in Linden, 3 o'clock the afternoon, you can't get nobody to Lusignan prison before the prison stop admissions. You can't. So what you do? At the first up, so you have a justification for keeping the person there for a brief period of time. But from the time the next morning, Tom, as I had said before, from the time board wife wake, your work is to take him to the Signal prison and rid yourself of that. Even if, as we suspect they're trying to do, to file appeal and all of that, that has to be directed to the director of prisons, not the police. Police have absolutely no legal authority to keep the man at the police station. Any proceedings at all is with the prison because the commitment warrant has been issued as of the 19th of June, 2025. CC, let me bring you in to have your say on that, man. Yeah, CC. I think yeah. Let me hear you with this Lorimer story, man. I think we lost Mr. Conway there for a while. Let me hope he gets back in. And I'm going to think, so I'm saying to you that, no, they're acting incorrectly. The commander is the person who is to be blamed. The commander. Because here, let me tell you something. You got commander, you got to get backbone. You got to get balls. You got to know what is the correct thing. That is the only way you can successfully lead a division. You can't be taking unlawful instructions because at the end of the day, when they account to my lecturer at the FBI Academy, when the defecation hits the oscillation, or as Guyanese would say, when the shit hit the fan, they're going to left you upon your own. They're going to tell you like what the people tell McDonald. God judge to tell McDonald. You should have been guided by the Constitution and his conscience. They're going to tell you you should have been guided by the Police Act and the necessary standing operation procedure. You keeping a man at a police station when the court order that the man be sentenced and taken to Lusignan prison, that is open defiance. That is contempt of court. And I'm still hoping that somebody's going to take it up. At times like these, you want to know what happened to the Guyana Bar Association? What happened to the champions of democracy? What happened to all the civil society organizations? You're going to sit back and see the police openly violating the order of the court. Are you going to say nothing? Openly violating. There's no secret. Again, I say that, all right, they didn't arrest you right away. You have a lot of reason. Maybe you could say you know where he's there and he hiding from the police. But from the time you arrested him on Monday, only one course of action open to you. Lusignan prison. You say he's sick, all right, Lusignan prison. And they will deal with that. They have mechanisms to deal with that. Let me bring Mr. Conway, he's back in. See?
Yeah. They really, in contempt of court, here it is that the magistrate issue a commitment warrant and they shelter this man. If me say sick or you say me say gone in the wicked, I ain't see no thing that the police gathering him at the Wismar Hospital or McKinsey Hospital. They gathering him at the police station. If you carry the hospital and the doctor finish with him, straight to Lusignan, like on lay down in the infirmary. That's where he must go. But no, I know what he must do at Linden. He's got to be at Lusignan. He got to be at Lusignan. Let him go there and get medical treatment. Let him go to the prison and let the prison let report sick in the prison and let the prison deal them. But the police is in contempt of court. And I can't be a commando and the commissioner gonna tell me nonsense that hey, I get commitment warrant for a man and he mustn't carry to prison. No way. I gonna disobey that. Well, there's not an order. That is not an order. That no commissioner can make me disobey the court order. No way. There's it. The man is there. They say he had bad, or they say he get a mild heart problem. But what he doing there? He's not at the hospital. He's at the police station. And I hear he getting preferential treatment. Only certain people could talk to him. Only certain privileged people can talk to him. The whole thing is that total disregard for the law. And you don't hear no communication coming from headquarters. Nothing from headquarters. That man should be at the prison. And it reminds me, I think, all the party here, where they had a PPP supporter when they got to Esquivo. I think he's looking after their meals and all kind of thing there. And he get sentenced. And the dilly dallying, I think they carry that spit and the dilly dallying. And after we talk, they carry to prison. And that's where you gotta be. A man with a commitment warrant must be in the prison and nowhere else, not at no police station.
Yeah, and you know, again, I say, if something were to happen to him, then we're gonna hear what go on. We're gonna hear because everybody gonna turn shaggy. Wasn't me, and what all sort of thing in here. All because you're doing the wrong thing. And if you all know, you know now. If you don't know, you know now. And again, let me tell you that even if, as I suspect they're gonna do, they're gonna move to the High Court for maybe appeal the case or whatever, because they're trying to find fault on the magistrate. Someone tell me that they're saying the sentence was too harsh. Ex parte, you didn't turn up for trial. You did not turn up. They said the magistrate bias. Where is the bias? No defense was led. No defense was led because he think he's bigger than everything else. He didn't turn up for this trial. And they're making all sort of foolish statements. And I posted something on this. Let me tell you how this is, students. I posted something, and one of the Jacobots, the one who is the product of the expired traumatized sperm, he come and he said, you can save the post because I saying what should happen when a person is convicted. He's showing shades. But let me tell them, I'm not afraid of any one of them. I'm not afraid of them. They're threatening to kill me. I ain't afraid of that either. They're threatening to jail me. I ain't afraid of that either. They're threatening to do me all sort of things, to ruin me financially. I ain't afraid, man. I ain't afraid. I put everything in the hands of the Lord. I'm not afraid. And let me say this too. I have social media presence, this platform pages. And I am tolerating them for come on me page, for play politics and to talk shit. If you want to play politics, right, get your own page. Don't come on my, for until they come on this page, whether it's speaking out, whether it's my personal page, it's block and delete. Not me page. You're not going to use my page for your propaganda. You're not going to be allowed to use my page for your propaganda. So we understand this clearly. For until they come, when I run the comments and so on, it's block and delete. Set up your own page and use your propaganda. Or do like what the government do. Set up your own cricket match and bring in the commentators to talk and big you up. You know, CC and I were talking yesterday. You reminded me of this what they call them Global Cricket League. Well, I have no interest in anything now. I'm a cricket fan, but I'm interested in the politics and all the corruption involved in them thing. But as he spoke to me, I listened to a part, I look at the part, and I tell you all already, I'm not a Warrior fan. Because at the end of the day, it's franchise cricket. I'm a Guyanese, I'm a loyal Guyanese. I have proven that. But when it comes to franchise cricket, I can't support franchise cricket. Because I know what goes on with franchise cricket. Right? I know. I used to be in a certain role. I know what goes on in franchise cricket. Then I saw today the people licking down Carlos Brathwaite and Darren Ganga because they come and they in the franchise cricket, global franchise, and they're campaigning for the PPP. Carlos Brathwaite, a Bajan, Darren Ganga, a Trinidadian, and the others there, well, the others were silent, and I think they said nothing. But people are saying that Carlos Brathwaite campaigning on the cricket commentary for the for PPP, telling people that the president deserves a second term. How you gonna get respect for the cricket and all that? The Guyana Cricket Board come out, they supporting the president for second term. Where is the independence of those bodies? And I think Carlos Adams wrote something because the ICC is very strict when it comes to the cricket administration being involved in politics. Very, very strict. I remember some years ago, Sri Lanka was banned from international cricket because of politics. The government has installed somebody to run the cricket, Ban them. So again, I say, use them. You don't come on my page to come and play politics. Nah, I'm not allowing that. I'm not allowing that. The only cricket I'm following now is India and England because there is good cricket. So this franchise thing and so on, I end about there. I am not a part of it. I don't even want to hear what is the score. I don't even want to see them. Right? As I said, CC, make a look last night, and I was, the Guyana franchise lost. And I didn't shed a tear because, as I said, I'm not a franchise supporter. Right? I don't support no franchise, especially in Amazon, Guyana. Guyana is a franchise cricket. Look at the makeup of the team. Look at the makeup. I saw a picture too with a cricketer, a West Indian cricketer of Guyanese extraction, wearing PVP logo, shot and all and everything. That is what is going on. No professionalism. None. And some of them don't recognize when they are being used. Used and abused, they don't recognize that. But let me come to one of the main subjects now. And let me bring in CC to say something about that. Because I know you listen to the cricket. CC, you have anything to say?
Well, I listen to it, and like you, I looking at the English and the Indian match. But then again, my wife who I introduced to cricket, she's more cricket fan than me, and she listened to the and watch this one that is going on in. And this one is all about politics, eh? You see where they bring it in the middle of politics. And I listen to Gango and I listen to Buffett. And there's a woman too. There's a woman too. They can't remember her name off on.
Yeah, I think
All of them
Alex, she's Jamaican,
for
Alex,
the
something.
Alex, yeah, you know. They thing, you know, but you know, they gotta be careful, you know. But they say this whatever they call it there is about politics. It's about politics and big up the president, give him a second term and all those nonsense, you know. But as I mentioned, I've been watching closely the England and India test match. Now and again, my wife gonna force me to watch this franchise, this T20 thing, you know. For peace sake, I will watch.
For peace sake, I like that. For peace sake, you're gonna watch. But it is unacceptable. Let me understand it. Unacceptable for people like Carlos Braffett, whom I know, Ganga, I know Darren Nalem too, right? To be influenced to the point where they are campaigning basically on the broadcast. Should not talk to the cricket. That should not be anything to do with this. Should not be part of your commentary. Should not. And this is not because I against them, which I am, right? But that is not the place for you to be doing this, especially when you're a foreigner. You're a foreigner and you come to this country, Guyana, and you telling people but who must get second term and all them type of crap. That is what you're being paid for. It is so unprofessional. I hope it's a lapse in judgment and they are going to correct themselves. I hope it's a lapse in judgment and they're going to correct themselves. I hope they're not being paid or influenced to push that type of propaganda. I hope so. I hope so. Now, let me move on to the main subject today. I'll share the live. Share. We get thousands on here right now. But share. More people don't want to hear this. I am talking here about the SWAT rank that was sentenced to 25 years for killing Dartmouth businessman in his bed. I am talking about that matter now. And I want the police in particular to listen. All them young police to listen carefully. Read the same thing. It's in today's Stabrook News. They have a very extensive article on it. You know, to select the articles, several outlets will think, but selected the Stabrook News article because I found it to be more comprehensive. And here what it says, the judge deplores reckless action and the abuse of state power. That's the byline. The headline is, Court ranks under 25 years for killing Dartmouth businessman in bed. And then they said the judge deplores reckless actions, abuse of power. Then they go on, it's the article is long, so y'all bear me out. Bear me out. It says, in an incident that has sparked public sparked public outrage, showering Peters, a 36-year-old rank of the Ghana Police Force Special Weapons and Tactics, which is SWAT unit, was yesterday sentenced to 25 years in prison for the 2021 killing of Dartmouth businessman Orin Boston, a father of two. Justice Sandil Kisoon handed down the sentence at the High Court in Demerara, condemning the actions of Peters and his fellow officers as unlawful, reckless, and a gross abuse of state power. Peters was convicted by a jury on June 25, 2025, and has since been remanded. His sentence is to be computed from the date of the verdict. So they're going to compute the 25 years from when he was convicted on the 25th of June. The fatal shooting occurred during a pre-dawn operation conducted by 12 heavily armed SWAT officers at Boston's home in Dartmouth, Essequibo Coast. The operation, which also targeted another resident in the same compound, was carried out without a search warrant, arrest warrant, or any lawful authority, a fact that drew sharp criticism from the presiding judge. Let me read that back. The operation, which also targeted another residence in the same compound, was carried out without a search warrant, arrest warrant, or any lawful authority, a fact that drew sharp criticism from the presiding judge. Quote, the actions of Peters were unlawful, unreasonable, unjustified, disproportionate, and excessive, end of quote. Justice Kisoon said during the sentencing, quote, the resort to lethal force was without any basis against an unarmed man asleep in his bed, he declared. Justice Kisoon described the conduct of the SWAT unit as reckless, noting that the unit, composed of specially trained officers meant to act with discipline in high-risk situations, had failed in their duty to operate with restraint and professionalism. The judge further ruled that Peters' claim of a confrontation was contradicted by testimonies from fellow officers and findings from the crime scene investigators. He underscored that none of the officers involved had any legal grounds to enter Boston's home, which he referred to as a man's castle and sanctuary. Again, let me read about the emphasis. The judge underscored that none of the officers involved had any legal grounds to enter Boston's home, which he referred to as a man's castle and sanctuary. It goes on. During the trial, Peters was unrepresented. At yesterday's sentencing, he was represented by attorney Kioma Griffith. The prosecution was led by State Counsel Latifah Elliott. The sentencing hearing, including a probation report, a psychiatric evaluation of Peters, victim impact statement from Boston's family, and submissions from both sides on aggravating and mitigating factors. Peters addressed the court during the proceedings, but his remarks were inaudible. Prosecutor Elliott highlighted that Boston's widow had filed a civil lawsuit against the state over the killing and had received compensation. She asked the court to consider this as a mitigating factor. However, Justice Kisoon rejected the argument, noting that the payment came from taxpayers, not Peters personally, which diminished its mitigating value in the court's view. Although both the defense and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions had agreed on a starting sentence of 10 years, Justice Kisoon noted that neither side provided any evidence during the hearing to support this recommendation. The judge also found no mitigating circumstances in Peters' favor. Justice Kisoon said that Peters was fortunate not to have faced a murder charge, given the facts of the case. Then they go on in the article and read the whole thing. Question remains as to why the SWAT unit was at Dartmouth conducting the type of operation which is usually reserved for other law enforcement units. Police initially reported that a confrontation occurred between Boston and the SWAT officers during a search, resulting in the shooting. However, that account was strongly disputed by Boston's wife, who maintained that her husband was unarmed and shot while in bed. Then, this is a part, let me read this other part here. Recalling the events of September the 14th, 2021, Moore, that is one of the witnesses, told the court that he and approximately 10 SWAT ranks were instructed by Assistant Superintendent of Police Gordon to proceed to the Essequibo Coast for an anti-crime operation. He said the officers were fully armed and prepared for tactical engagement. Another part reads, using a ram, Moore breached the first door and entered the house where several females were present. After finding nothing, the team proceeded to the second building. Inside, Moore and Constable Lewis entered the first room and found two children. After identifying themselves as police, they instructed the children to exit the house. Moments later, Moore testified he heard a loud explosion. Also in the room were Constable Peters, Constable Millington, and Lance Corporal Melville. Moore testified that Peters was attempting to assist the injured man, who was later taken to the Saudi hospital where he was pronounced dead. Now let me unpack this here. The judge made it clear, and we have been saying it repeatedly on this program. You got to go on an operation like that. You got to get a search warrant. They like run into people's home, and the judge emphasized, and I hope they would use the judge statements as a training tool for the police, whether they're SWAT, whether they're these patrol people. You have to have legal authority. You can't run into a man's house 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. They use some ram, broke down the door, gone in there, shoot the man, and kill the man. And there are a lot of stuff to be analyzed. A lot of stuff. Let me go through some of them and then I'll bring Mr. Conway. First of all, they said the question remains unclear as to how the SWAT team reached Essequibo Coast. But let me tell you, at that same time, the PPPC had a cabinet outreach on the Essequibo Coast. The government, where the president and other senior functionaries were, they were on the Essequibo Coast. I remember that story well. Nigel Appy was carrying out the functions of commissioner. Clifton Akins was the man in operation. Nigel Appy said publicly that he did not deploy the SWAT team to the Essequibo Coast. And as we know it, the SWAT team can't just pick up himself from Georgetown and go to Essequibo Coast. They must have been instructed by someone, and if it's not Appy, might very well have been the man in charge of Operation Ikin. But I left down there, said that, Shaggy, not me, but thing and get owner. So they went there during the PPP outreach. It is alleged that some of the residents complained about crime, and therefore they decide they're going to go and they're going to unlawfully raid people's home. Raid people's home. The judge talk about the warrant. Let me understand this thing clearly. Let's understand this thing clearly. The man who is convicted, Peters, he was a member of a team. They said some assistant superintendent, Gordon, I think they said, right, gave instructions to them to go. I don't know who would have been in charge of the team on the ground. Right? It wouldn't have been Peters' responsibility to get the warrant. It would not have been the responsibility of this man who gets sentenced to 25 years in prison to get the warrant. It would not have even been the responsibility of the SWAT people to get the warrant. They are going from Georgetown to Essequibo Coast. How were these buildings targeted? Not to be the local police. Tell them they might even have accompanied them where to go and search. And therefore, it would have been the responsibility of the divisional commander the divisional commander on the Essequibo Coast Region 2, it would have been their responsibility to get the warrant to search these places. But it's a cowboy thing. No warrant. You got kicking down people's door. And let me say this too, before I bring in Mr. Conway. I can talk about it some more. They said the police initial report, or the police initially reporting that a confrontation occurred between Boston and the SWAT officers. All right. And they played up on that confrontation. Now you tell me, if you lay down in your house sleeping at night or early morning, 4 o'clock, and you hear a Brahmin and people running to your house, you ain't got a right to confront them? You have a right to confront them. How do you know who they are? Can be bandits, can be anybody. So when they come and say a confrontation occurred and the shit that is right, does only upset you. I gone in my house, in this case, the man gone in your house tonight. Lay down and sleep. They say lay down, lie down naked, and he's sleeping. And in the midst of you hear some noise, and you see people, you have a right to confront them. You have a right. Of course, the confrontation wasn't true, but I'm saying that even if there was a confrontation, Boston had a right to confront whoever entered his home at that hour in the morning. You can hear noise. Who the man sleeping? At no stage did they say, even the evidence, well, they identified themselves. They said to the children who they put out the house at 4 o'clock in the morning. They identified themselves to the children. But they answer that when they go in the room. So they rush into the room, a man lay down in the bed, the man dead. The man is dead. And I'm saying I'm going through all of this for the younger policemen. Some of them old, they can't change. You want to go and sort someplace, make sure you're covered legally to do so. Make sure that you get the necessary legal coverage. I'm going to read something more about it. Let me bring Mr. Conway for him to have his say on this matter. CC, I'm sure you have read the decision of the judge. Your take.
Yes, I read it. And so many things went wrong. Happy sir, he didn't send the squad. Hicken was the operation man. And I recall when I was, myself and others were unlawfully arrested, and I called Happy was performing the duties of commissioner. I said, what about send us on bail? We come back tomorrow anytime you want us. And Happy said, "Boy, this thing is political. I can't do nothing but it." And a politician, after about 12 hours, sent us on bail. I have the recordings. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was a politician that sent the squad down there. And as you mentioned, Paul, or as it came out there, they rammed down the door. There was no such warrant. And the law is clear. If you're going to search building, you have to go to a magistrate or a justice of the peace and get him to sign the warrant. And the warrant must state clearly what you are looking for. Clearly, it must say what you are looking for. And it must direct the time that the search must be conducted. Because if you go, if you go and you, like in the States, you get a warrant signed by a judge, and you're gone and for arms and ammunition, and you find drugs, you can't get away, you know. You got to go and get a warrant to carry it away, to remove it. They're talking about the forbidden fruit of the poisonous tree. We're getting back to the warrant, and there's it. You have to have a search warrant. And there's supposed to be a search warrant book at the station. You have to get records. And even when you're searching, care must be taken that you don't destroy people's property. That you don't destroy people's property and all other things. And at the end of it, whether you find anything or not, you have to back the warrant, say what you found or what you didn't find. But here it is, 12 men, highly armed men, gone. use a rammer, ram down the place. And according to information, the assistant superintendent who was in charge of those 12 men, he didn't care them, but he was sent there, he was in charge of them. He stand up on the road till everything happened. He ain't going there. He ain't give no proper instructions. And the thing is too, that when you find things, and we training, when you find things, you gotta make sure that you properly secure them. Evidence bag, and actually depends on the nature of the thing, because some of these articles that you find has got to go for forensic examination analysis. And you got to be careful in terms of the chain of custody, everybody holding it, and them kind of thing that. And they run in the place, fire Wild West. They didn't observe when you may fire. And seeing that I'm in the training mood, let me again, and we got to repeat when you may fire. Force order number 33 of 69 republished several times. First one, when you're attacked and you apprehend serious danger to your person and unable to defend yourself by any other means. When property you are ordered to defend is attacked and you are unable to safeguard it by any other means. When an attack is made to rescue persons in lawful custody. When anyone is found committing or about to commit a felony, burglary, shop breaking, store breaking, house breaking, arson, larceny, and do not desist after warning, and cannot be deterred or arrested by any means, to prevent a police station or a post from your own when so ordered by a superior rank. When you may fire, ask yourself, did any one of these here cover that youngster that got 25 years? And the judge was very clear, talking about reckless and all kind of thing there. It was a clear case of murder, and he's lucky that he get manslaughter. And only that, why is only a manslaughter charge? What happened to others? What happened to others? Even if I sure there are other criminal charges there. I sure there are other departmental charge, breaches of the discipline there. Nothing. Just a one man, and they throw him under the bus. Throw him under the bus. The left, he didn't get represented. He wasn't represented in court. High court. I know in murder he's get represented, but I'm not too certain. But manslaughter, he was not represented in court. They left him there. Leave him there. It's things that the people should take note of. They give you unlawful instructions, and you're going to commit yourself, and then they left you on your own. So many things went wrong with that story there. The SWAT team, highly trained people, as they say, gone to Essequibo, broke down a man's door, put out the children. He lay down with the wife sleeping, and then they shoot him with no justification whatsoever, and enter illegally. There was no search warrant. If you got search, you got to find search warrant. Even I see now that they're saying that if you're searching for drugs, you ain't got to get search warrant. But I have the drug act here, and I won't have time to read section 83. They tell you that you got to get search warrant. You're searching for drugs. So they say you got to get the thing there. It's there in this Narcotics, Drug, and Psychotropic Substances Control Act number 1988. That you have to get a warrant. CYA or SYA, cover your ass or save your ass. Get a warrant. And the warrant must be specific what you are looking for. Signed by a magistrate, in the absence of magistrate, a justice of the peace. And that is your authority. Yes, and some want to say that you can use force if necessary, but you can't use excessive force. You can't go on breaking down people's door and shooting people left, right, and center. It's really a sad case, and it should have never happened. It should have never happened. And they should use this here as a case study when training people, use what happened in the scribble as a real case. I mean, you won't call, you want change up the names and all kind of thing there. But there's a base for a real case study in terms of the use of force and in terms of executing warrants.
Yes, yes, because I can see too, now that the ruling has been handed down, other legal people, judges and so on, matters go before them, going to report to this, Yeah, they're going to report to this. This is how the thing works. And I still want to know, I'm still puzzled as to why only this rank was charged. What happened to the people who sent him there? Where he got there, they said about 10 to 12 of them, there was no supervisor. Even if they weren't criminally liable, they must have violated a whole set of regulations and standing operation procedure. So this one man get thrown under the bus. One man. So the officer who sent him there, whoever subordinate officer and all these people tell you there go broke down door, the commander from the division and those who never sought and obtained a warrant, nothing happening to them, they getting off scot-free. And again, this is a lesson to you police ranks. A lesson. What's going to happen? You're going to tell them you're not carrying out any lawful order, and they're not going to promote you, they're going to victimize you, like they did to me for 11 years on assistant commissioner. But at the end of the day, he did the right thing. I came out only me head high because I know what they were telling me to do was unlawful, Jagdio and Gadraj. Right? So you got to stand up and do the right thing, but you can only do the right thing if you know what the right thing is. And when it comes to warrant, let me explain this to you. In Guyana, let me read. In Guyana, the execution of such warrants is generally restricted to the hours of 5 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock at night. However, the magistrate has the discretion to authorize the warrant to be executed at any hour. In other words, generally, if the hour is not specifically stated, or if the hours are not specifically stated, 5 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. If you want to go and search any time other than that, the magistrate or the JP has to spell out that in the warrant, authorizing you to search at that specific time. Then here are some additional details about search warrants in Guyana. Issuance and execution. Search warrants can be issued and executed on any day of the week, including Sundays. Search warrants can be issued and executed on any day of the week, including Sundays. Magistrate discretion. A magistrate can authorize the execution of a search warrant outside the typical 5 a.m., 8 p.m. time frame in circumstances that warrant it. If circumstances warrant it, in other words, when you get a warrant, you got to go straight before the magistrate and tell them, well, yeah, then based on that, they're going to give you. The police powers. Police officers may be authorized by the warrant to use reasonable force to enter and search premises and seize specified goods. Police, let me come back to that. Police officers may be authorized by the warrant to use reasonable force to enter and search premises and seize specified goods. So the goods have to be specified in the warrant that you're going to search for. You're going to search your TV. You're going to search your motorcycle. You're going to search your money. So specified in the warrant. Citizens' rights. Listen to your rights, citizens. If you are subject to a search warrant, you have a right to request identification from the officers to ensure the warrant specifies the correct address. You can also refuse to be searched if the warrant doesn't explicitly authorize it. Civilian, know your rights. Witness in a search. If you are alone during a search, it is advisable to contact a lawyer or another person to witness the process. If you're alone, the police come, get an ear when the search is being conducted. You're not 3-4 police searching all over the place and you want there. You are required to observe the police search. Some people go so far, and nothing wrong with that. Tell the police, you got to empty your pocket. I got to see that you ain't coming with nothing here for say you can put it for me, you ain't planting nothing. And if the police have no such intention, they will say, well, look, check. I remember conducting something and say, stay with us, right? Stay, more than one of you, make sure you observe that we're not going to put anything and we're not removing anything. And you do it in a professional way. Almost every time people complain about police going and search, they tumble up, throw your clothes all over the place, walk into your house with muddy shoe and all them unprofessional behavior. Unprofessional behavior. Right? And they're very rude and crude and all sort of thing. Then they go on to say that you should ask for a receipt of anything seized by the police during the search. So the police search and they decide to take anything away, you can ask them to give you a receipt that they are taking away this item, that item, or the item. And they said, note, important to note, if you are faced with a search warrant, it is best to cooperate while also being aware of your rights. Consulting with legal counsel is highly recommended to ensure your rights are protected throughout the process. So, police turn up, they want to search. Got a warrant? Can you please allow me to call me lawyer? Can you please allow me to call my neighbor to assist the witness? This one? That should be allowed. There's nothing wrong with that. Especially if you're alone at home. You're alone, you engage with them on the outside. There's nobody in there to say they're hiding anything. Nobody's there to hide anything. So call somebody to come and to witness the search. You want witnesses? And in these days, where everything now, everything you do, people putting out the camera, oh, all them is videographer. Make sure that everything is recorded. Make sure that everything is recorded. And here, let me tell you this. In saying these things, we're not being anti-police. We're just telling everybody should know the right. If you live in what they call a democracy, you should know your right. There's a rule of law. Everybody should be able to observe and do the correct thing. So it's not that we're telling people to disobey the police, or we're telling people what their rights are. We're telling the police how they should conduct themselves. And absolutely, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Because if you're going to execute a warrant and your intentions are well, then you ought not to be afraid of anything. Yeah, I understand, man. What they say, they don't want your rights and the bullying you and all this sort of thing. I bring Mr. Conway for his closing remarks. The time ran up and we're so quick. Today, I did warn you that we have a lot of stuff. I truncated the rule call because of this. And we got other stuff to tell you about, We have other stuff. As I said at the beginning of this program, since this program started, 3 years and counting, I can't recall having so much to deal with on any one program where we have to, I had to go through and try to prioritize. We have some other issues that we're going to come again and tell you about. But let me bring you Mr. Conway. CC, your closing remarks.
Yeah, and if the police want to know more about warrants, they have the standing order number 76. Very, very clear in terms of warrants of what you must do. So I advise you read, because they're doing a lot of reading, They're reading now a lot of WhatsApp, a lot of Facebook, a lot of other things on the social media. But they're not reading the laws. They're not reading the standing order. Then they're not reading what some of the SOPs that they got. So I want to advise them, in this case, read the standing order number 76. And are still holding upon region 8. Please, Commando, Deputy, go and check the people. Things boiling up at Orange Oak. Things boiling up at Monkey Mountain. Things boiling up at Kato. Things boiling up at Paramatakai. I was a commando. I know what's going on. Please go and physically check. Check. Election coming up. Go and check. And don't wait for Jerry Govaya for go and check. I wonder if he's still checking. I remember he used to go and check, and he used to get what's his bread made, and he used to go and check the place. I wonder if he's still going and check, and he used to get salute that he's not authorized to, So I'm region number 8. Go and visit those places. Check things happening. I might relate some of them things who happening. go and check. I'm putting you on your guard.
Thanks. I tell you, I can show you all this, September 1 coming up. And I told y'all, every time you go and put the X, you must remember this young child that they killed. Remember this young child that they killed. Remember. And remember the others that were killed. You must always remember that. Right? Remember. And let me get this to y'all, man. Hold on. I gotta give y'all
sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims...
I gotta always play that thing. Because they're the ones who talk about corruption. These people get, as I said, they get killer. I got something I want to read for y'all. I'm looking for it. It is somewhere. You know what has happened? I have so many, as I told y'all this afternoon, I had so many stuff to go through. Here it is. And that is directly related. Let me play back that.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su? Oh, Su? My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes,
he is a friend of ours.
He claims...
Imagine these people can sit down in front of people and call who is criminal and say all manner of things. And let me read an excerpt from Stabrook News editorial, July 8, 2025. It said it should also be pointed out that the stunning bribery allegation put to Mr. Jagdeo on February the 1st, 2022 by the US-based media outlet Vice News went completely uninvestigated by the Guyana government and law enforcement here. These allegations swirl around naturalized Chinese businessman Su Jurong, who claimed that through his broker and with the payment of bribes, deals could be cleared by the vice president, and there was no trace of money to Mr. Jagdeo. Vice News had to put Mr. Jagdeo, Vice News had to put to Mr. Jagdeo that Mr. Su said, quote, if you want to get anything done in Guyana, you need some hookups. Quote, I am very close with the vice president and other officials. The vice president and I share a very close relationship. Also, you do the business, he would help you out no matter what. No one else can help you like he does. End of quote. He also said, when he's talking to prospective investors, the vice president said he can change the constitution. He said, quote, he can manage everything. He has already changed to help us much. He's already changed, that's what I said. That's why he already changed to help us as much as possible. Of course, you have to give him something in return. Of course, you have to give back to him in return, end of quote. Mr. Jagdeo had vehemently denied the allegations and had lodged a lawsuit against Su, who was a tenant of his at the time. Mr. Su conveniently vanished, and his allegations have never been tested. The spread of Mr. Su's business interests in Guyana, let me read that back, please. The spread of Mr. Su's business interests and his bold recorded statements would have suggested he was well connected with the government and required considerable or considered investigation. No investigation, none, no investigation. Allegation, for those of you who don't know, in that interview, Sue, Vice News, Sue, they set up a sting operation. People go into this living room, the living room of the vice president. His tenant, Chinese businessman Su Zhirong, had access to his living room, and he took people in there posing as Chinese businessmen. And when the man come for offer the thing, when the man go for singing to him, he said, no, Sue dealing with that part of the business. That is on record. That is on Sue dealing with that part of the record. Sue is a civilian. What part of the record he dealing with, or the business he dealing with, whatever term was used. And Jack Dale sits there every Thursday, lambasting this body, thinking, shit in buckets and all that. And I maintain that with an allegation like that, with a serious allegation like that, if you are not guilty, you have the authority, you have the power, you should have ensured that a proper and thorough investigation was done by a credible body. Not bringing some Canadian man or bring Ross to say they look at it. Some proper investigation to clear your name. You have not been cleared of that allegation. And I say again, those agents or those agencies with the necessary capability would have analyzed that statement. The entire Vice News recording or interview would have been recorded, and those behavioral scientists, the people, body language people and so on, would have examined that and would have come to a certain conclusion. I am no body language expert. I am not in that field, but based on what I saw on the reaction, I think he's guilty. Paul Slow, said that based on that reaction, that shows guilt. That is me. That is what I believe. He might not be guilty, but the point is that unless and until a proper, credible investigation is done, that shit over here all the time. And all these things people must remember. They talk about corruption. And let me say this. Because people say, the coalition was corrupt too. You always have corruption. All over the world. You get corruption. But I say this without any fear of contradiction. The level of corruption in Guyana now is unprecedented. Level of corruption, unprecedented. Commissioner of Police, $8.5 million taking the office. He admitted to that from a businessman. I see that the Commissioner of Police, Akin, has a board-day football competition on the 19th of this month. And based on my little maths, prize money totaling over $4 million Guyana dollars is going to be given out. Where the money coming from? Other businessmen, other stakeholders are going to make the donation. Where is that money coming from? Where a commissioner of police can put up $4 million, or you take it from police welfare money, the money that them young policemen are supposed to be benefiting from. Where is that $4 million coming from? You got a senior police officer, 262 criminal charges. Former, I got to say former, at the time he was a police officer. You got a senior superintendent, the commander, former commander, Region 1, sanctioned by the United States for drug trafficking. Come on, unprecedented corruption, let me understand. You can't make these things up. It is there for you to see. And they're going to start a campaign Sunday, and they're going to tell people all other things, but coalition didn't do this. And I know that the coalition wasn't involved in the level of corruption that that is in now. Let all them contract and all these type of thing. Look, every day, almost every day, you see roads just built, broken up again. People who never build a full coop, get in contract to build road, build house. Look, the Kokuani story that we showed you a while ago. Let me show you again, watch. Kokuani police station, just February, the good government broke down because according to the ministry, some part they said sinking, and they got to rectify the sinking part, wasting me money all the time. Wasting me money. Folks, let me tell you this. As I've said, this is silly season. They're going to come to you with all kind of nonsense. You have to be sensible. You have to be able to suss out, as we say. They're going to buy out, they're trying to buy us out of vote. They're doing all sort of thing. As I say, you see, they get the cricket, they get Carlos Braffett and Gang and them campaigning on the broadcast for the president and the thing. It's a lot of that's corruption too. That is corruption. Remember, corruption is only collecting money and stuff. That is corruption too. That's all part of the corrupt process, right? All part of the corrupt process. People allege that this whole thing too is part of money laundering scheme and all. I am warning you people, don't just listen to what they say. Listen to what they have not said and come to your own senses. Larimer, for example, corruption involving the police. There is no way, let me understand this thing clearly. There's no way that the divisional commander, Assistant Commissioner Simon, on his own, would have kept Larimer at the Mackenzie or the Linden police station, Mackenzie I think it is, in defiance of an order of the court. I'm sure he was instructed to keep him there. Unlawful instruction, oh, you ain't get backbone, you ain't get see, he carrying out the unlawful instruction. But I'm warning him, because when the shit hit the fan, they're going to throw you under the bus. I would hope that somebody initiates some contempt proceedings and see what's going to happen. It's not that I'm against the commander, but this thing got to be put right so people can know what is the correct thing. The court has issued a warrant, the magistrate issued a commitment warrant. We spoke just about a search warrant, which is totally different. Warrant to search. This is about committing you to the prison. The only role the police has in this is to take you to the prison. Nothing else. But the system is so corrupt. And you know, Friday afternoon, sometimes I'm sorry that this program is not the type where you can use the correct adjectives to describe how corrupt they are. Folks, I hope that you have a good weekend. Today is Friday, the beginning of the weekend. You just come off a long weekend. For those in America, last week Friday was Independence Day. For those in Guyana, Monday was CARICOM Day. So you have just come off a long weekend. So therefore, enjoy your weekend. Again, be safe. Be safe. Be safe. I got to implore you to be safe. The roads are dangerous. People shooting up wild around the place. Man get stabbed and all sorts of trials and tribulations. Be safe. And God spare life. We're going to come again here on Monday and to bring you another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Until then, stay well. Bye.